Hi, this is King Fally from Deceased and October 31, and you're rocking with Poppitt's Corner.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Poppitt's Corner. We are going to Houston, Texas today and experiencing the death metal realm of the metal community. And of course, I have the guys in Malignant Altar. Guys, how you doing today? Thanks so much again for giving me this opportunity to speak with you. I'm looking forward to this episode. So how you guys been, man?
Doing good, man.
Doing well. Doing
real good.
So right off the bat, you guys have, what is it, your first album? I know it's not really particularly, you guys as musicians, it's not your guys' first albums per se. And I know, but with this specific band in question, this is the first one. And I'm kind of just curious. I mean, you guys right out of the gate, you have the 2 demos and whatnot. You get signed to Dark Descent and then release this killer record entitled Realms of Exquisite Morbidity. I just come kind of curious on what you guys' thoughts are with the final product being released now and whatnot.
I think first off, I'm stoked it's out. It's been about a 2-year process. The record's been sitting on ice for a while just because of the way pressing plants are right now. Which, are you familiar with that at all? Like how things are with records at the moment?
Yeah, isn't it like a 12-month delay now?
Yeah, it's fucking crazy right now. So like the record's been at the plant and it's still getting delayed, but it is coming out in December with vinyl, like in January, I think is what they're saying. So it's finally coming out. So I'm incredibly stoked the record's done and people can fucking hear it.
So is that the reason? Are there more kind of albums that you know of that are experiencing this thing, like the whole delay, just because the vinyl is so delayed, so the albums are getting delayed just to make it?
I mean, I think a lot of them are. I mean, for instance, like Wilson's good friends with Worm on 20 Bucks Spin. And if you look at the records out, but the vinyl won't be here until February. So I think a lot of labels, even like 20 Bucks Spin and Dark Descent, like the records are coming out months after the actual release date, just because that's just the way it is. With Insect Warfare, we have a reissue of our LP coming out, and the same thing. Like it was supposed to be here like in October. Well, it might be here until February now. We just don't know,
So why is it that we don't have more plants being made as of this point? Because there's obviously a huge demand for it, right? But there's nobody kind of supplying the supply to meet the demand. Is it just because people are so afraid of like this could go away at any moment, or is it just?
That's what I was thinking.
I think it's actually the machinery, man. Like, I mean, you can't, like, to make a plant, you can't just like go buy those machines at like Uline, like it's like that's a pretty intense machine you got to put together to make that stuff, So there's a plant here in Dallas actually. It's like one of the few last plants in America, and it's like getting beat to submission. I think they might even be selling. I don't know what the deal is. Like basically, like people are trying to buy this plant because like that's the machinery. You're buying the machinery to make these records, So I think that's really what it is. But I don't think it's going away, man. I think at this point, like people who don't even like never listen to records back in the day are buying records. So like, like people who buy like Adele records are buying records. Like people like that didn't buy records back in the day. They didn't even buy CDs. So there's just more people buy this. It's not going to go away. I don't think at this point. It's more of a fetish thing than it is a musical thing,
Well, I think you touch upon a good point where it's not just in the metal community that physical media is so important with the vinyl. You touch upon the pop world, and even that you'd think that there'd be, people making more of these plants with the technology we have. I mean, people are making new vinyl players and whatnot. So I was always just curious why that specific aspect of I guess duplication hasn't been made yet,
Yeah, it's just not there. And also, like, I think I just want to put it out there because some people don't know how it all works at pressing plants, but like people like say, like I mentioned Adele or where pop stars, like they buy these pressing plant slots up from like guys like us who are trying to put our little tiny records out, like so Sony buys up all the slots and then pushes all of us to the back. So like that's a reason like why like somebody made a good point to me, and I won't say the name, but like people will get stoked about say like Metallica represses, which is awesome, but it just really just kind of fucks the smaller bands who are doing records all along, like because they're buying up all the slots from the pressing companies. So It's
Well,
it's a weird deal, man.
All the jocks are pressing us nerds.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
well, I think Metallica is an exception because I think they bought their own plant.
Oh, did
if
they?
I'm not mistaken. They have like their own pressing
What?
thing, so they press everything in
that's
house.
awesome.
So it's probably a
That's
bad
wild.
example, but
Yeah,
you
no,
know,
yeah. That's not chose them. Let's just stick with Adele. Stick with Adele.
but I think you make just a great point of like it's almost music politics at this point. It's almost like if you're not the big fish or whatever, you're almost kind of pushed to the side until these records are particularly made. And so, do you think this kind of hurts our community and whatnot with records, or is it just? Do you guys just want to get the music kind of just out there and it doesn't matter on the specific brand or a specific format?
Well, we waited until the record was pretty much.
So that was important for you guys to put out because of the.
We kind of wanted, we wanted it all out roughly at the same time, so we just stuck it out. But it was like COVID, so we weren't doing anything anyway. So
yeah.
Now, can we touch upon the particular? I'm going to pull it up here right now, but the particular artwork in question and whatnot. I'm just kind of curious, kind of what about Lucas Court's kind of artwork impressed you guys kind of enough to use him? Were you fans of him beforehand, or is this kind of a label decision to go through Lucas?
Man, I've known Lucas since like the early 2000s, man. Like he played in a bunch of like power violence bands back when my old man Insect Warfare was playing, so we would always play shows together. And it's funny, it's like, so, knew him. I didn't even know he did art. I just knew he was a great drummer and guitar player. And he, I kind of like didn't do bands for a long time. And then I got on Instagram around the time when we started doing Malignant Altar. I was like, man, who is this awesome dude doing this? I just stumbled across it on Instagram. I was like, this guy's awesome. I actually just emailed him. He's like, hey, Beau, this is Lucas. I was like, tripped me out. I was like, Lucas Court. And we've been using it ever since because I was just so blindly blown away by his artwork that way. Like, I was like, oh yeah, we got to use this dude. Like he's not only is he a friend, but incredibly talented. I think
his band Infected Religion is real good.
Yeah, for sure.
So is that the band that was on your guys' radar to use him?
No, I mean, really, I really just stumbled across their artwork and like I was like, I got to use. Like, I was like, I want to use this for the demo, and I showed the guys, and they all liked it. We contacted them. Like I said, little do we know, it's like the guy I knew forever. He's so anonymous.
He's kind of a popular choice at this moment in time. There's a huge, obviously, resurgence of death metal in particular, and especially the style you guys are doing with the more grind stuff. And I know, Beau, you particularly have a hand in that with Insect Warfare, the kind of grindy death metal that you kind of have brought into this particular project. It's kind of cool to see all of it kind of fit in, and it just seems, I don't know, it just seems like it's like kind of what's kind of going on in death metal right now.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if we can, you guys kept this all in house with Dobby obviously doing the mixing and recording and whatnot. Was this a kind of a conscious decision just because it's so cheap to record and whatnot these days?
I mean, Dauber's man recorded me and him since forever, man. Like he's just always been really good at that kind of stuff. So I don't see a need to go to a studio. He and I just could figure it out so quickly in his little house studio, So like, I mean, it's cool. I like studios a lot, but to have that kind of quick, easy access, and he's just really good at it. Personally, I think he records really well. He's not just some dude with like a Tascam interface. Like he has some pretty good equipment. Like he definitely takes it up to a different level. So, it was just the easiest way to go about it.
Yeah.
And Wilson, for you particularly, I'm just kind of curious on your vocal approach and kind of how long have you been actually a vocalist for prior to Malignant?
I was in a punk band called Stagnant Youth that put out a demo in like 2013. So that's where I got my start. But that only lasted maybe like a year and a half, and then I kind of just didn't do bands for a bit. And so really I just started back up again in 2019.
So did you know Beau in particular and just said, and you guys just wanted to do like a death metal band again? And I'm just kind of curious how you guys kind of hooked up and started this particular project.
I knew who he was because of like Insect Warfare and stuff. back in the day, I actually messaged him on the Insect Warfare MySpace, and we talked about death metal. He doesn't remember that though. but we started working at the same spot, and then we saw each other at this fest called Destroying Texas Fest, and we just started like talking, and just kind of happened.
And Beau, did you know that he could sing this low?
No, I mean, actually, I had no idea, to be honest. Like, we had started to talk at this fest, and I had some tracks recorded already on my home computer that I was just kind of fucking around with. I was like, "What?" He kind of mentioned that he's singing. I was like, "Why don't you come sing on these tracks?" So we got together at my house one day, and like he laid down some vocals. I was like, "Okay, cool. This is workable," you know. So it kind of just went from there, you know. Like, and the stuff that he recorded, like, was nothing like Malignant Altar. It was more on the death grind kind of stuff. It was more, but you know, we decided to do more of a death metal thing with the project.
So Wilson, who do you try and kind of emulate with this and finding your voice in this particular guttural style of death metal?
I've always liked Ross Dolan from Immolation because you can like understand what he's saying. It's like enunciating. My favorite death metal vocals are Dave Vincent on Covenant, so that would be another big one. And like as far as like not like death metal, but the bassist from Neurosis on their old stuff, like Through Silver and Blood, whenever he comes in, that was just always sounded badass to me. And also Heavy from Corrupted.
However you say that.
Yeah. Yeah. So those would be probably the top dogs.
Yeah. Now, is the what is kind of your current scene like in Houston, even prior to, I guess, pre-pandemic, and kind of what you guys have noticed after pandemic and whatnot, with just musically speaking? Is there more of a death metal thing in Houston, or are you guys an anomaly where it's like you're the one band that's doing it, and there's a bunch of other kind of, I don't know, heavy metal style bands? Is there punk? What is kind of going on in Houston?
We got a kind of bit of everything, I would say. There's like Imprecations from Houston, so that's a huge one. Blaspherian when they're active. There's like a bunch of hardcore bands. Shapeless Power doing like heavy metal type stuff. So we kind of got all bases covered.
Now, do you notice a kind of a community in one? I mean, are there kind of radio stations promoting this out there, podcasts like this, or there news, kind of fanzines? Like what? I'm just kind of,
there's a pretty long running radio show called Sweet Nightmares. It was also called From the Depths for a while. Wes Weaver from Infernal Dominion, Imprecation, Blaspherian, he ran that for a long time. So there's actually been a very strong. There was actually 2 metal themed shows in Houston on the local college stations, and they both ran from like the late 80s, 90s up until really kind of still to the present. So we've been lucky in that way that we've had 2 really good shows by people who care, who put good stuff on. So I learned a lot about music that way back in the late 90s as a kid, just in my room, like listening to these guys' shows on like Sunday night and put my tape in, making a tape of it. And those guys had still done it. Wes Weaver passed away last year, unfortunately. Bill Bates, the other host, died a few years earlier, but there's other guys still carrying on or doing a good job with it too.
Good. I mean, I did know that Wes had crossed over last year and whatnot. It's just I know he was kind of a staple in that specific community. So it's like, but I just, so there's obviously you got a little bit of everything. Did you kind of start to notice, I don't know, what is kind of going on in Houston kind of right now? Are there shows happening as they were before, or is it kind of few and far between, as I'll say?
I've noticed that the shows are actually, I think, probably true of everywhere in the country right now. Like shows are huge right now. Like it seems like every show I've been to has been like a couple hundred people at least. I think it's because people are excited to be out. You know,
for sure.
Like even though like I think Texas is a little bit more liberal about not wearing masks and the whole thing. So people are just kind of like this, pretend like this doesn't exist. Normal. Yeah, it's pretty much just back to normal for most people. So I go to shows. I'm just really blown away. I think I went to the Frozen Soul show happened here a couple weeks ago. It was like 350 people there easily. And it was packed. I mean, I don't think they could have fit more people in there. So I think shows are just popping off right now. I think they will for a while, but we have a show next in 2 weeks. Hopefully that carries over to that show.
Well, I mean, you could literally just tour all of Texas. It's just that big of a state. I mean, what can you 10 10 cities you probably could tour all through.
You could do like 4, and after that you really start like playing some thinned out shows. But like yeah, but I think I would say as far as like death metal goes, I think Houston's got the kind of the grip on the Texas thing. Maybe Dallas, but I would say as far as like the shows go, like Houston's like for grindcore and death metal, it's always been a very strong city for that stuff. Opposed to most other cities in Texas. Is
Hod from Houston? I can't remember.
San Antonio.
San Antonio. Gotcha. See, again,
but San Antonio is huge too. That I always forget that because like we rarely go there, but San Antonio's got a great scene too. They really do.
Well, I mean, I don't know how far away you are from San Antonio too, because like I said, Texas is so massive. That could be like a 6-hour drive and whatnot.
Like 4 hours.
I'd say like 3
hours.
3 hours.
I've been in so long, man.
Dallas is closer to 6 hours. That's almost Oklahoma.
Again, another scene. I think that's more of like a thrashy kind of vibe. I always know thrash bands that come from Dallas for some reason.
Steel Bearing Hand.
Yeah.
Incinerator is another one. There's a bunch of them, but I'm saying like, I guess it's just so cool to see bands doing, shows again and whatnot, especially in Texas. I think you said, they're a little bit more lenient with the shows. And
I mean, you would think there was no pandemic going on at all, to be honest. Man, if you walked around and went anywhere or to a show, it's like you just would not fucking know some shit was going down in the fucking world right now,
I mean, I kind of wish it was like that all throughout the world, but I'm just kind of being a little bit selfish on that front, right? Because I want to go see, music as much as I can.
Are you guys pretty restricted up? Where are you?
I'm in SoCal, so I'm in Orange County. So Orange County is not as restricted as say LA, which like is totally restricted unless like you're vaxxed and whatnot. But yeah, out here there's just few and far between as far as shows go. Really? I mean, there's not really a lot of touring bands going through there. So are there a lot of touring bands going through Houston and whatnot?
At the moment,
Deceased is coming this weekend, so that'll be cool. Yeah. It seems like there's been shows happening, but mostly local stuff up until maybe like a month or two ago. Now it seems like tours are coming through, but I'm not sure like where else they're going. Maybe they're just only coming to Texas because they can.
Yeah,
but I doubt it.
Are you guys kind of wanting to do a lot of touring, especially for this specific record in question? Are you, or is this kind of just like a studio thing where you're going to just release albums and kind of do the one-off shows and what?
We can't tour, man. Like I think we both have a job. I like my job, like I can't just get up and go for 4 weeks on end, I'm also 40 years old, man. I'm just not in the mood for that right now. But like, I'm real into like, we have a kind of a cool thing going there where we just do like kind of flyouts. Like we went out to California a couple years ago. We did that right before the pandemic hit. We're going to New York in February. We're doing Maryland, Mexico. So I think that's kind of how I want to do this band. Or we want to do the band is just do like select shows, fly out, maybe play a show or two in the place and then come back home.
And aside from us, the other guys in the band also have other bands. So
yeah. And families, I mean,
yeah,
like everybody actually have kids and things like that too. So
I got dogs.
Same here, man. I got dogs too, but I mean, you make a great point in whatnot. And this is a different kind of thing I would like to get some perspective on. You guys are kind of seasoned vets in a new band, right?
He is.
Well, you get what my point is. There's a few of you that are seasoned vets, but how do you kind of make up for the publicity that you wouldn't be getting touring? Do you?
Yeah, that's tough, man. That's fine. Not to cut you off, but like I was literally just thinking about that today. I was like, man, how does a band now like get out there and make shit happen without touring? And that's a tough one, man. There's really no way to do it than to pound the pavement, man. It's just the way. I mean, Insect Warfare toured 4 times a year, every year around the globe. We just relentless, and that's what it takes to get to that level. And I'm okay with it not being. I think I'm okay with us being how we are. I like that we have like might not have say exponential amount of fans, but the fans we do have truly give a shit about what we're doing and support the band. I'd rather have that to me than a bunch of people who just kind of wishy-washy about the whole thing, So I'm cool with where we're at. I'd rather work slow and build a strong fan base,
And the more popular you get, the more memes you get. So
yeah, I don't want that either. But you're right, man. Like it's really hard to like if you're really trying to take this seriously, and you want to be like a big band, like you got to tour, man. There's just really no way around that.
Well,
You know?
can I ask you just I don't want to touch upon this with both of you guys. It's like, what is your definition of success for this band, though? For you particularly, what is kind of your definition of success? Because there's so many different versions of what success is for people. You know, it's making money is a form of success for people. It's at least being, you know, having your music mean something to somebody else. That's a success. Putting out an album, that's a form of success. So kind of what are some of your guys' successes individually speaking?
I would say just like whenever someone like, for instance, the guys from Cyanide said they're into us, that's a win for me. That's fucking awesome. So just pretty much that, because obviously money is not going to be a thing. That's it. Really, just like getting to play these like cool fests where we get to like see and open for bands that we respect, and that's really about it for me.
Man, for me, I mean, all I've ever cared about with all my bands, I don't give a shit about money. I mean, I got jobs. That's why I work a job. I don't want money to interfere with what I do. But I just want the approval of my peers, man. Like the people I look up to. That's all I want. And like working with Dark Descent, you know, that to me is kind of a big deal. You know, like that's an achievement because like everything that dude puts out's killer. It's all killer, no filler, man. Like he's the real deal about it, you know. So that to me is success. You know, playing shows to 100 people who care. That's cool. So like I think. Like I said, I think we're at where I would want us to be. It's like how it is now. It's like we're just doing this. Money's not dictating what we do. We don't have to do a bunch of stupid bullshit. We don't have to go tour with some band we don't want to tour with. You know, we can kind of just do what we want to do, and that's to me what it's about. You know.
And feel free to chime in on this particular point. Is I think you get a sense of musical freedom with this. There's not this kind of notion of that you have to always be brutal all the time or write this particular way because of the money aspect, right? So, and especially with the debut record that's coming out, the Realms of Exquisite Morbidity and whatnot. It's you also included kind of an atmospheric track with the title track in the middle of it. So I think you guys can branch off into doing so many different styles and not have that burden of what, quote unquote success is for other people. Do you know what I mean?
No, for sure. Yeah. I mean, like I said, that's the reason I never let money get involved in anything I've done is like, I want to do what I want to do. And I don't want to sit there and think about if I write this song is like some dude not going to buy my record now, like I just want to write that shit. And like, that's just what's going to come out. So yeah, money, even as a kid, I just knew, when I was a kid, the only thing I cared about, man, I was like, man, if I can go to Japan and play my shit to somebody in Japan, like that's all I've ever wanted to do. Like I've made it. So that was my goal as like a 13-year-old kid playing guitar in my room. Like I just want to go to Japan, like the dudes I looked up to went to, So that's money. Worrying about money is not the deal, man. Like you're gonna fucking end up. Nobody succeeds at this shit. At least playing. I mean, some people do, but man, if you really pay attention to things, man, the people who do make it, man, they make a lot of compromises.
Yeah, Cannibal Corpse still tours like nonstop all year.
I mean, it becomes a job. When it comes to job, I don't want that to be my job, man. I think I would hate it. I would not want to do this, man, if it was my job.
Well, you're talking a different kind of success than what I'm talking about, too. Though. Oh, so that's like I'm just saying there's many forms of success. So that is a specific type of success. Like a success for me and I could speak for us both since we play in bands and whatnot. For me, it was just making an album and having somebody kind of give a shit about it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean? Yeah, that's the bare essence of everything. I was just trying to say, like, yeah, I just want to make a fucking record and have people hear it. That's like the end of like. That's what it's about,
Like when you get hit up in somebody from Saudi Arabia saying how much they love your record, like that, like that's a form of success for me personally and whatnot.
I agree.
Now, can you kind of talk about how you guys particularly got signed to Dark Descent? Were you in contact with Matt and did you know him beforehand, or was it just like on a whim he checked you out on Facebook or YouTube and said, "Oh, I want to sign these guys"?
Actually, I just literally wrote him an email. We already have friends like Oath of Cruelty was on Dark Descent, Imprecations on Dark Descent. And so they all kind of like gave us a rundown, like, Matt's a cool dude. He does his shit, he gets it done. So I already had kind of an impression of what the dude was like before I emailed him. But I emailed him.
Respectful roster too.
Yeah, I mean, we knew what was going on with the guy. And so I emailed him. I was like, hey, we have this record done. Would you like to check it out? Can I send you a link? And I honestly didn't expect a response. I didn't know how that was really going to go over. But man, he emailed me back and he's like, send me the link. And I sent him the Dropbox to it. And he emailed me back the next day. He's like, yeah, I want to get involved in this. Like, what's the plan? Like, what do you guys want to do? And that's how it happened.
And did you complete your goals though? What you wanted to do on this
Yeah,
one so far? Okay.
You know, I mean, I'm waiting to see the records in my hands, but man, I know I've owned his records. I know what they look like. It's going to be a kick-ass looking for release, and like he's doing a great job with it, man. Like he has his way, man. It's, you know, he's got his own little way he works and gets things out there.
I know how he works. I'm friends. My buddies in Graveville kind of we're doing a lot with Dark Descent and whatnot. So I always know that his is really good quality. So you guys are in good hands as far as that goes.
Sure.
Now, kind of lastly, I'd like to ask you this: is, you know, musically speaking, kind of what would you like to see or do on the next one that you probably, you know, you couldn't do on the debut album? You know what I mean? Like, how are you gonna, I don't know, make the next one kind of a step even above this one, you know, and always improving and whatnot? Other styles you kind of want to implement in, or like clean guitars, or is there pianos or other kinds of instruments?
Nah.
Yeah. I think we do what we kind of do. I mean, and by that, I don't ever set forth with the idea of like, let's try this weird shit just to try it. Like if it needs to be there, I think we know it needs to be there, you know, like,
yeah, there's,
I don't think
like there's good bands that, you know, really branched out into like weirdness. Like Void Ceremony is a really good one that I like a lot, but I don't think it really fit with what we're going for, I guess, because we're pretty much just trying to make stuff like Infester and Immortal Fate, just like stuff that we weren't seeing a lot of at the time. It's pretty popular now, I guess. A lot of people are doing it, but never thought I'd see the day. But I don't really see us.
We started
doing anything progressive.
We started swapping riffs like in the past couple of weeks because we're getting ready to write for a split, and it's pretty cool. It sounds like what we do, but it's a little bit different. It's like the riffs I've Josh, our other guitar player, has written. I'm looking forward to seeing them. It sounds like Morbid Angel, but it sounds like us. It's pretty cool.
It sounds like Morbid Angel, but it sounds like you guys.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm like the bits you showed me, I was like, this is cool, man. This sounds like Blessed Are the Sick or Covenant, but like if we did it, you know. So I'm looking forward to working on it here in a few weeks.
I'm looking forward to hearing it, man. I'm looking forward to because I really dug, like I said, I really dug the Realms of Exquisite Morbidity record, and I'm looking forward to getting a copy in my hands and blasting it on my stereo and whatnot, because I'm still that physical media guy. And with this in mind, you know, for people like myself, where is kind of the best place to support you guys specifically? Do you guys like to send people through the label and whatnot? And if so, what is the link for you know, the vinyl, the CD, the shirt?
You would the best, I mean, the honest is really no other option at this point, but you'd have to get it from the label itself because of the pressing plant situation. You know, like we've kind of opted to put our copies into the fold for ordering through Dark Descent, just to make sure that everybody gets copies. Because there's the second pressing, which Matt thinks he might have to do a second pressing pretty quick. If it's going to take 12 months to do a second pressing, he's going to try to get as many people fulfilled as possible. So we won't have actual copies of the record personally. We'll have personal copies, but we won't have to sell. So Dark Descent website or his Bandcamp are great ways to get it.
And where can people kind of check out what's going on with Malignant Altar and whatnot? Is it are you guys going to be, you know, posting, you know, videos leading up to the record and hyping it up, or is there
we don't do too much of that, man. We finally got an Instagram like last year. We didn't have one, so we didn't have a Facebook or nothing. We finally got one, and I run it. I kind of keep it kind of sparse. I don't like want to beat down people's feeds too much with bullshit. So like maybe a week or two before the record comes out, we'll put some shit up, you know, like here's the link to the track, you know, like I don't try to like make it a commercial thing too much, you know?
Sure. Well, guys, I really appreciate you giving me a couple minutes to do this, and hopefully we can do this, you know, again and again, if you guys will give me that opportunity and help promote what you guys have coming up in any project that you guys do. I just really big fan of the Realms of Exquisite Morbidity record, and I highly recommend people go check it out. It comes out December 10th. Guys, thanks so much again for giving me the opportunity, man. It means so much.
Man, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
All righty. Well, another episode of Poppitt's Corner, guys. I'm out. Cheers.